At the moment, our democracy is not responsive enough. And as a party envisioned to be progressive, it is certainly not yet progressive. And I think I'm worried that our leaders have become very comfortable to imagine that they can do anything and get away with it. We must appeal to our leaders that things are almost getting out of hand. At the rate at which we are going, under a party that is envisioned to be progressive, we are likely going to start witnessing rebellion. And if care is not taken, by 2027, we'll be kicked out of office, which means taking Nigeria back to where it was in 2015. I think we owe our leaders the responsibility, we owe President Asuwaju the responsibility to tell him the honest truth. So having produced the book, my first challenge was to say, okay, how do I set up a platform using the book to get our leaders to have some deeper reflection and begin to now come up with strategies to engage both President Asuwaju and all elected leaders produced by the party, to really go back to the drawing board and readjust in such a way that they see themselves as truly representatives of Nigerians, not emperors presiding over subjects. Nigerians are not the subjects of elected representatives. Now, having said all of this, and which is why in the last piece I released out, I tried to show some of my background. You know, my position generally is that we must not be in politics simply because we want to earn a living. If we want this democracy to serve Nigerians, we must make the sacrifice to be in politics in such a way that, I mean, it's not about, I mean, look. I'm more than 60 now. Ideally, by now, I should have retired. If you ask me, my best preference, rather than me occupying position in government or in the party, I will prefer the opportunity to nominate maybe our younger ones. Up to 1980s, in fact, maybe 1980s, let me stop at 1980s. Our leaders presiding over the destiny of this country were in their 40s. Now we're having a situation which is the trend all over. It's not just about Nigeria. It's the trend all over. We're having a situation where our leaders are in their 70s. And the implication of that is that positions which should be occupied by our children is being occupied by us. So, I mean, we must open up the conversation. I'm not saying it is a crime to be old or it is a crime to have long life. But for me, I think part of the liability of old age as it's manifesting in nation building now is when older people fail to make the needed sacrifice for children and younger generation to reap the benefit of nationhood. I think this is the challenge we have. And as progressive politician, at least I will say I'm a progressive politician, I'm hoping my party will be progressive. These are some of the public conversation we should be having. So the part of the thing is this session, I mean the public presentation, and I will share with you the final program. which will be in print. The public presentation, the main thing there now, apart from goodwill messages by our leaders, which is very important because we want to be sure we are talking to our leaders, and we want to be sure when we speak, at least they will be there. There is a session, a panel discussion session, which is about party building. And the whole notion of party building is is importantly to get to a situation where the party become like an aggregator of the mood of the nation, based on which it is beginning to prepare the mind of leadership, both for the country and for the state and other level of leadership, in terms of what needs to be done to meet the expectation of citizens. So I thought it's important to have this session with you, because it's not everything that can be written in black and white. And that is why most of the time when I have this session, I don't come with preferred text, because I want it to be informal. I want you to, well, first, in terms of, I think I impliedly touch on what is to be achieved. It's basically to remind us about the value of really struggling to get the right thing done. If we didn't struggle within the party, first, it will have been difficult to even get the caretaker committee out of the way from the leadership of the party. If we didn't struggle, it would have been almost impossible to get Asuwaju to emerge as our presidential candidate. And what that reminder tells us is that we must not, because today Asuwaju is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, assume that we have achieved. No, we have to continue to struggle. And for me, as far as I'm concerned, Asuwaju is like any one of us. It's a human being. He has his strengths, he has his limitations. So we must remain committed so that when we see he is not doing the right thing, we draw his attention. A situation where all of us become sycophantic, everything he does is right, we must not get to that. So that is one of the important things I want us to, which is why I said we are setting the stage for reflection. So that, look, if all along people are saying, no, this is a wonderful leadership, the leadership Nigeria deserves. I just mentioned here, we are about to start witnessing rebellion if something is not done. And this is the honest truth. So whatever anybody close to Asuwaju will be telling him, let him hear the real story. Life is difficult. People who ordinarily should not be struggling for food are today struggling for food. And this should not be happening under the leadership of a party that is envisioned to be progressive. And I keep saying, I don't have any question. I believe Asuwaju is a committed Democrat and is a progressive politician. And I believe he will have no difficulty relating with the issues I'm raising. I hope I have answered the question. Some attendance, look, like you highlighted, I implied it, we invited leaders of the party, and they are in categories. Of course, Vice President Shetima, I have not, because I had to really adjust myself to my own reality. It will be expecting too much to have the president. But if we have the vice president, it's as good as having the president. In addition, we are hoping to have the national chairman of the party. And for me, look, the most important thing, and I must say publicly, Chief Bisi Akande has done everything for me. He did not only write the foreword of the book, he has committed himself to physically be present to chair the session. And I know with Chief BC Akande chairing the session, every leader of the party will respect it. We are reaching out to, I have extracted at least I can say that publicly, the former national chairman, Chief Oyegun, has agreed. I'm yet to sit down with Comrade Adams. I'm going to sit down with him, and I am confident and very hopeful he will agree to be there. I'm reaching out to many former presidential aspirants for the 2023, including the former Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. I have talked to Chief Rotimi Amechi. He has agreed. Of course, Dr. Fahimi, Senator Bikule Amosun, many of them, I have talked to them, they have agreed. National Working Committee members, I have reached out to them and I'm getting very good, positive feedback from them. Which other category? Our governors. I have sent invitation to them. I'm going to start reaching out to them personally and including especially my own governor, Kaduna State Governor. If nobody attend, at least you should attend. So, of course, the former Governor Malan Nasrullah, if I have sent the invitation to him, I have not yet reached out to him. And this is the interesting thing. People think he's the one asking me. Since I resigned, me and Nasrullah have not even spoken. We have not spoken. So, but I will try as much as possible to reach out, because the most important thing is that we must continue to have the confidence that changing this country positively is possible. Much has happened, starting from first my resignation from the leadership of the party to the emergence of His Excellency Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje. But what has not changed so far is the fact that I'm still a very active party member, and I keep saying I'm a very loyal party member. My driving spirit is the fact that we want Nigeria to be better, and as it is now, the most important factor that will make that possible is politics. And we are privileged to be in the party that is the ruling party, which is the All Progressive Congress. But unlike what many others will do, which is celebrate the fact that we are a ruling party, I am more, if I want to put it this way, and I think I have said it before, I am more disturbed that in spite of being in the leadership of the country, we are still locked in the old challenges the country is facing. One of the things that Nigerians celebrated very well with the emergence of APC is the hope that through APC politics will change. And it is possible to have political competition in the way that democracy is known for. My deduction so far, and this is without any reservation whatsoever, is that we have not made any progress, or we have not made much progress, and that we need to really, really open up and engage our leaders in such a way that they don't relapse back to the old ways of remaining in denial simply because they have won election, or we have won election. It is very clear, and it's also not a secret, that having won election, Nigerians are faced with more, or the challenges are growing more and more. Life is becoming more difficult. And so far, and I'm happy I'm talking to the constituency that helped me to promote all the advocacy I have carried out. So far, the advocacy about getting structures of the party to function appear not to have achieved anything. As we are today, almost all the structures of the party, that is APC, with the exception of the National Working Committee, are not meeting. Since the last national convention, or the convention that elected the leadership of Senator Abdullahi Adamu, which was in March 2022, we had only 2 National Executive Council meetings and only 1 National Caucus meeting. The National Advisory Council is said to be inaugurated. We have youth wing, women's wing, persons with disability wing. They have not been structured, or there is nothing that has been done other than the name in the Constitution to define their orientation. And for me, this creates a big problem, you know. I tell you what, I thought what is more important is to remind ourselves where we are coming from. We had very difficult period, even getting the caretaker committee under Mimala to organize the national convention. We had to go through very big battle, if you remember. We succeeded in getting the national convention, and shortly after, the question of producing candidates for 2023 election came up. And we had to fight internally within the party to ensure that the presidential candidate emerged through election at the convention. I keep saying we were very lucky to have President Asuwaju then as an aspirant. You know, if we didn't have somebody with his weight, I'm not very sure we will succeed to repel the attempt to impose a candidate. Now we succeeded, and it will appear that we have forgotten about all of that, and we have resumed business as usual, you know, and almost as if simply because the current people who are in the leadership of both the country and the party are now in charge, we now think everything is normal and continue doing what previous people have done, whether it is former President Buhari or Senator Abdullahi Adamu as national chairman. That is what is happening. So what I decided immediately after my resignation, it was a very painful thing to do. I must say, it's not as if I enjoy it. It was a very difficult decision to take. Having taken that decision, I made up my mind, okay, I'm going to find time to document our experiences with the struggle under the transition that brought President Asuwaju. And of course, I was conscious of the fact that there are some people who were busy arguing in the leadership of the party that I rebel against the leadership of President Asuwaju. I didn't rebel against the leadership of President Asuwaju. All I thought, as a person, we owe President Asuwaju is to be able to tell him the truth no matter what. And which was what I did. So I thought I could document, and in that documentation is mainly some of the things I have done. I am convinced if you are going to count possibly 10 people who have consistently, from the struggle against the caretaker committee to the emergence of President Asuwaju, if you are going to count 10 people who consistently have been on the battlefront, I think I'm among those 10 people. So having won the election, I don't have the luxury to sit back and watch things go in any direction. So first was to document, which I succeeded, and is now produced in book form that will be presented to the public on next week, Tuesday, December 19th. And what I have done after completing it was to go around, because I said, look, I must be able to go around, first to reconcile myself. There are definitely leaders of the party that were angry I have resigned in the first place. So I use it to go around to explain myself. It's not necessary they will agree with my position, but at least give them the honor and appeal to them that, look, we have to resume the business of engaging both President Asuwaju as the leader of the party and the leadership of the party generally and the country in terms of reforming our democracy. And in terms of reforming democracy, it's not just to serve people who are in office now, it's to serve Nigerians. Our democracy must be responsive to the point that Nigerians can make a demand, and elected leaders will listen to the demand of Nigerians and translate that into policies of government or decisions of government in a way that begin to meet the expectations of Nigerians. That is the value of democracy. Once democracy cannot achieve that, then we have a problem. And I think we must be honest, and this is the point I say to our leaders without any inhibition.